In October on this programme, we talked about a health service scandal described as the worst treatment disaster in the history of the NHS. The infection of thousands of patients with deadly diseases through the use of contaminated blood transfusions. The people infected say they're still waiting for a full public inquiry into what happened, full compensation for themselves and for their families, and for a full and comprehensive acknowledgement by the Prime Minister of what happened and what they see as the inadequate government response. One of those affected was Matthew Harris from Brixworth, who has haemophilia and contracted hepatitis C from contaminated blood he received through the NHS. Matthew spoke to us back in October, and when the Shadow Secretary of State for Health, Heidi Alexander, came to Northampton on Friday, following an invitation I made to her during an interview on the programme, I introduced her to Matthew, who began by recounting what happened to him.
In the late 70s, early 80s, there was contaminated blood, mainly from America, and it was given to haemophiliacs like myself, which contained various diseases, HIV and hepatitis C. And I contracted the hepatitis C. Fortunately, that was the only one I got.
But you were by no means alone. A lot of people across the country.
There's thousands, literally thousands, and if I'm honest, I think there's probably thousands that have passed away.
There's been one inquiry into this in Scotland alone. Do you think there should be a nationwide inquiry right across the country?
That's a tricky one. Yes, there was one in Scotland. I think if there is another inquiry in the UK, it's going to take years and years and years. And if I'm honest, the people out there haven't got that time. You know, we need a closure now. And we need a decision, and we need answers, and we need them quick, smart.
You need answers. You also need money, don't you?
We do. There are people that I've heard of that have been on the phone to numerous charities in tears because they've lost their partners who were the main breadwinners, and they've had letters from bailiffs because they can't keep up with the mortgage repayments, so they've been told to get out. I can't get life insurance. So if I was to pass away, my wife and children would still be left to pay mortgages, bills, etc.
And nor can you get access to the drugs you need.
That's right. This time last year I was on a course. Halfway through the course I had to stop because they didn't work. There are now drugs there ready for me to take, but I'm not ill enough. So my consultant tells me.
By whose measurement are you not ill enough?
Apparently there's a pool. You've got Leicester, Northampton and Kettering all in a pool, and they sit round a table and they say, right, we've got Mr. So-and-so in front, what's the severity of his hepatitis? Is it bad enough for the drugs? No. Okay, well, we'll push him to the side.
And that really comes back to how much money they've got to spend on them, I guess.
They are expensive, but the government have said that isn't a problem, we will pay, but we're still waiting.
What message would you like to take, Heidi Alexander, like to take back with her from this? She's sitting on your right-hand side right now.
That's right. Well, all I ask is more voices to be put in the Houses of Commons and more pressure to put on Jeremy Hunt, David Cameron, because it's not just about a financial thing. People really need a closure on this, and it's not on. It really isn't.
Heidi?
Well, I think the first thing to say is that people like Matthew and those who have been affected by this scandal have just been so badly let down. And I don't want to make this a political point, to be honest. I think that many previous governments have failed to do enough for the victims of the contaminated blood scandal. No amount of money really will compensate for what you and your family has gone through, but I do believe that government have a responsibility to come forward as a matter of urgency with a full and fair settlement for people.
Yeah, totally agree.
This is not just, as you say, about the money, it's also about the emotional turmoil that you're still living with. Actually, I do think it is disgraceful that, having promised in the comprehensive spending review a few weeks ago that government would set out what they were going to do, the fact that nothing appeared in that review is a cause of absolutely huge concern for people. Matthew has my word that when I go back to the House of Commons, I will put some parliamentary questions down about this. There are lots of MPs who certainly I know of on the Labour benches who have been pushing this issue, some on the Conservative benches as well. People like Diana Johnson, who's the Member of Parliament for Hull, has done a huge amount of work on this. And so you're completely right that we need to keep the pressure up. This can't go on for any longer.
What's your medical prognosis, Matthew? What have the doctors said to you?
I have got slight scarring on the liver, which means the cirrhosis is there, but it is at an early stage. So ideally we need to nip it in the bud before it gets any worse. If left as it is, then obviously the liver will deteriorate immensely, and it'll either be a liver transplant or death.
You're sitting in front of us now. You look a very well chap, but clearly that's a bit of a mask.
Looks can be deceiving. Yeah, I do look well, but there are other issues with my health. I have tablets. I take tablets every day, and also I have injection every other day for my haemophilia.
Heidi, as you said, it's very emotional, all this.
It is, and I think when we sit in Westminster, government ministers may be thinking about what the cost of compensation would be and what the impact of that would be on public finances. But actually, when I sit in the radio studio here with you today, it's about the human cost and the impact that this has on people like Matthew and their families. And you have to ask yourself the question, which one is more important? And I think finding a way to ease those difficulties that individuals who have been affected by this scandal are facing is the imperative thing to be done at the moment. Because at the end of the day, although it's historic, the British government made some dreadful failings, and the people who are living with the consequences of that need to be recognised and need to be given the support that they need.
And Matthew, you've always been prepared to talk about this. Is it helping to raise the issue again today?
It is immensely, yes. I'm not shy of my situation, but I do know of family members that have had to move away from the areas because they get stigmatised for their health again, which is shocking.
Matthew Harris, just 2 days ago, the MP Heidi Alexander referred to there, Labour MP Diana Johnson, who's the chairman of the all-party group on this subject, says she's angry at the constant delays. She hit out after being told by the leader of the House of Commons, Chris Grayling, he's the man that organises the government's business programme in the Commons, that he could not guarantee a statement before the Christmas recess. It'll be interesting now to see what difference Heidi Alexander's meeting with Matthew Harris in this studio at BBC Radio Northampton will now make.